Hey everyone, Jessica here, and in my last video I introduced you to the new Citrus Creative Kit, which includes a bunch of versatile brushes. So in this tutorial I am going to show you how to create some citrus slices like I did here on the left, and it's just using a few brushes and even a few brushes from my kit, and then one brush from my Artistic Autumn collection. So to get started, I'm going to go over here to my Artistic Autumn collection, and just remember that all of my color palettes for my Impressionist brushes all go with, you can mix and match them. So in this case I'm using color palettes from my citrus collection, but I'm going to start off with a base brush from my Artistic Autumn collection, and I'm going to use brush number 4. So it looks kind of like this. That's cool. So I'm going to make a lime, because here I've made a lemon, a grapefruit, and an orange. So I'm going to go to my color palettes in my patterns. And if you're unfamiliar with using this technique, just check out my Modern Impressionist playlist. So I'm going to get limeskin number, I'll go with number 9. Just pick something that you like, and I am going to create a circular shape, and it's okay if it's not perfect. If anything, it looks more realistic. So I don't need to fill it in. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm going to pick out this lime rind color palette, but you can mix and match the colors and put some yellow. Even if you're making a lime, throw some yellow in there if you like. Just kind of make it your own. So I'm going to just go around this circle, and I just want to leave like a little bit of the rind on the side. So I'm kind of just following this. And what's cool is it looks even better if it's not perfect. So I like that. I like this kind of imperfect nature, and it creates kind of a crafty, textural, patterny kind of vibe. So I've got that, and now I want to fill in the center. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to pick one of my lime colors. So I'll just go with lime 5. And I'm just going to do the same thing, kind of go along that rind edge, and sometimes it'll be like closer, sometimes it'll be farther away, but I won't worry about it being perfect. The idea is to make it look more handmade. And give this a second. My computer has been running really slow lately, and I never notice it unless I am unless I'm recording a video, because recording a video uses a lot of the processor. So don't worry here, we're just bear with me for a hot second. The problem isn't the brushes. Problem is my Ancient of Days computer just sometimes likes to slow down, and I've been working on this, but it's really annoying right now. But I'm just filling that in, and I'm not going to even worry about it being perfect, because you get the idea here. And stay tuned. I'm like, it might be time for a new computer. This bad boy has been rolling for quite some time, but it just decided to be funny sometimes when I'm recording a video. So I've got that base, and now I'm making a new layer. And I'm going to go over here to I'll just take my lasso tool. And what I'm going to do is just drag here, and I'm creating kind of some shapes like this. And it creates a shape. And now I'm going to hold down my Shift key because I want to add some more. So it keeps adding to this selection that I'm making. So I'm going like this. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Just make sure that you draw kind of over the edge here. And I am just making some roughy kind of shapes here. And the more imperfect, the better. So let's do that. Now we have this cool selection. I've made a new layer. And so now I am going to take my pattern stamp tool. I am going to take either a lighter or a darker color because I want some contrast. So I will go with lime 2. And I am over this brush right now, so I am just going to grab another brush and just grab any brush. The cool thing is you can make this your own by choosing your own brushes, and it'll have a totally different effect. So I'm just going to grab Artistic Autumn 15, and we will just make this base layer here. And that one's better. It's not giving me any lag. That brush was just giving my computer lag for some reason. And even I've actually tried to do this tutorial twice, and just for some reason my computer just decided to be slow. So now it seems to be okay. But honestly, you guys would probably be surprised because this is my profession, but this, let's hear, I'm gonna just show you about this Mac here. Let's see how old my computer is. Okay, it is late 2013, so this thing has been rolling for a long time, and it's probably time for an upgrade. But the thing is, it's a Mac, and it's been, you know, running really well, so I don't know, I don't have a problem with it, and I don't do a lot of, like, a ton of video and stuff or gaming, so, and it's been able to handle Photoshop. But probably if I got a new one, I'll be shocked or something at the speed. But anyway, it's fine here. So now I'm going to, actually, I was going to make a clipping mask, but there's some transparency on this layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that for a second, and I'm going to hit Command and click here to select this layer. And then I'm going to go to my layer here that I just made above, and I'm going to create a clipping mask. And so there we've kind of got our base here. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of get the idea. So there we've got our base, and now what I'm going to do is use some of my brushes from a new collection to jazz this up a little bit. So what should I do next? I am going to add some texture on this darker layer. So I'm going to create a new layer above it, and in this case, actually I think I want this transparency to be a little bit less. So I'm going to go back to this layer here, select it by hitting Command and clicking this layer. And I just want to fill this in a little bit more. So I'm going to go to, I don't know what I use, Line 5. And I'll just use this brush here, this 15. And I'm just going to fill this in a little bit because I don't want any transparency. So we're just going to fill this in. We are good there. All right, this one's not giving me any funky things with my video rendering. I'm going to deselect. Now I have a layer above it, and I'm going to create a clipping mask by hitting Option and click like this, or you can just select the layer and hit Create Clipping Mask. So now I'm going to add some texture. So let's go to my new brushes, and I've got all these really cool subtle textures. So I will just grab, like, say number 12. And this is, I'm going to be going on the dark part, so I want like a lighter texture. So I'm going to go with like lime number 1 and just click on my new layer. That's cool. And see how that looks. And I don't want to fill the whole thing in. I just want to give it an organic kind of textural feel. So now we've added some texture. That's cool. And now let's create a new layer on top. And I want to create some lines radiating out from the center like we've done on the other ones. And so I'm going to go down to my pattern brushes and just pick one that's interesting. They've got all different ones, and they have pattern built in, which is really cool. And so for my kind of radiating lines, I'm going to start off with using the lemon rind color palette, and I'm going to go, can you see them? Let's see here. Actually, I'm drawing this kind of big, so let's zoom back in here. So I'm going to go like this and kind of just play with how it looks. Now, in that case, I was using the lemon rind color palette, but I'm going to cut that. I want to start over, and actually, I think I'll use the plain rind because that's more of a white, and I want it to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to just kind of follow those lines here and alternate a few different brushes. So, you know, just kind of have some fun, play with the brushes, but I want something kind of like that. And then maybe in the center here, or in the center over here, I'm going to take another different type of brush. So maybe I'll take this one. And yeah, just give it a little, these are kind of like a little juicy bits kind of brush. So that looks cool. I think it looks really neat. And then to top it off, I'm gonna just do something inside the lighter color. So I'll make a layer underneath this one. And in this case, I could even just get like a lime color palette. So maybe I'm going to take a darker lime color palette, like lime number 5. And let's take one of these brushes, which is kind of cool. And what's cool is you can kind of, it's going to spit out the different colors. So let's, there's so many choices. I don't know which one I want to do. Maybe I'll just grab number 4, or no, maybe number 13. This is some cool triangles, and play with this. And that looks quite cool. So you can make all different kinds of little pattern type motifs. And I think it's really interesting, and it's abstract. And I love doing abstract things because, you know what, like there's a lot of people who can do like really realistic things, but I like to do things that are fantastical and different. And for realistic things, we have cameras, so why bother? So I think this is more interesting. And so here I've showed you kind of like how I've used a few brushes from my new collection and made a really cool lime motif. And now you can take this and use this in a card, a quote graphic, a template, a pattern, any of that kind of thing. And I think it looks really interesting. And you know, you can use this technique and make a whole set. And so each one of these is really different, but we've used the same kind of brushes and same kind of technique, and so they kind of go together. So I think it's really cool. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I haven't made one in a few days because of my back, so hopefully I'm not a little too scattered and you get the idea. And if you have any questions, just write me down in the comments below.